I only care about one thing. Will we be number one in crypto?
This is one of the strangest things in crypto I've ever seen.
I don't want to have somebody else have crypto and have China be number one in the world in crypto. Because in crypto, it's a kind of an industry where basically you're going to have number one and you're not going to have a number two.
Most people do not understand the real reason the crypto market is crashing. I do. We now have on-chain data that Binance is dumping Bitcoin, BlackRock is dumping Bitcoin, Wintermute is dumping Bitcoin. Over $1.14 billion worth of Bitcoin have been sold in this recent dip. And the reason why shocked me, let me share with you. Because at first, it doesn't seem to quite make sense. After Tom Lee, this is a new Tom Lee clip, Tom Lee explains that October, the last month, what we've already been through, was the biggest liquidation event in the history of crypto. And that's behind us.
I mean, if I look at everything since October 10th, because that was the biggest liquidation in the history of crypto, like bigger than FTX.
Like a margin call almost.
Yeah, it was like almost a miniature rupture, like a tsunami. We're only a couple weeks from that, so I think the market is consolidating. But if I look at fundamentals, like Ethereum, stablecoin volumes have been exploding, application revenues at all-time highs. So right now, fundamentals are leading price in crypto. So I think eventually we consolidate and then we rally into year end.
And that's behind us, right? The largest crypto liquidation event since the collapse of FTX is already a month behind us. It's over, right? Well, again, the on-chain data isn't lying. Why are these big entities dumping? And is it closer to the end than the beginning? Or is a bigger crash about to occur? Well, number one, two big things to understand, and other channels will not share this with you. I will. Some channels just try and hype it up, scare you, get you to click, and believe me, I want you to click the video. I like you watching, subscribing, liking the video, but it's not Binance and BlackRock dumping. It's their clients. They just custody the Bitcoin. They just custody the crypto. And if their clients want to buy, want to sell, they have to do what their clients want. Meaning it's not smart money. It's not smart entities selling strategically. There's a fear in the market from the masses, the sheep. Also, Bitcoin's an over $2 trillion asset. So $1.14 billion worth of Bitcoin being sold, even if it's in just 4 hours, that's less than 0.5%. It's less than 0.5%, meaning posts like this are meant to scare the dumb money, the masses, although the smart money, 30-year Wall Street veterans are doing things a little differently. Here's Jordy Visser on the Pomp podcast explaining perfectly, this is an over 3-minute rant, on why Bitcoin is selling off, or just simply why it hasn't been exploding like people would think.
Every possible thing to everyone listening that you would want for Bitcoin is happening right now, meaning the government is supporting things. The financial guardrails are shifting. We've got news after news every single day about the financial guardrails becoming more digital economy. It's things that are necessary for the network effects to kick in. All of that has happened. We still see inflows from retail. We still see the banks now opening it up for people to go through. But there's clearly a bunch of whatever it is, OGs, Bitcoin miners out of China, whoever it is, large amounts. Mike Novogratz publicly said it. If you go back to July, there have been billions and billions of dollars of, let's say, original investors supporting Bitcoin, regardless of how you want to term it. So I'm writing a Substack. I think what people should think about is we don't have an IPO for Bitcoin, but this last 4 months to me feels like sourcing the pricing of the IPO, where the original investors are getting out of large chunks. Now, why is there ever an IPO? For monetization. If someone has 9 billion in Bitcoin, I mean, I think they should diversify a little bit. If it was related to China, guess what China has now that they haven't had since 2014, 15? A bull market in stocks. Guess what else people have? Well, they have the chance to invest in AI. AI is a 10-bagger in many cases. You've been able to do it in the public markets. So I think at some point, Bitcoin becomes a boring asset to people who are looking for 3-baggers, 4-baggers, 5-baggers. It becomes a diversification. So I think this is just a distribution of a few massive holders. And the weaknesses I have heard about Bitcoin as I've gotten into it from institutions, It's too volatile. Not too volatile anymore. We've taken the implied volatility and the actual realized volatility down to 30 and below in some cases. So the vols come down. Okay, what's the next thing? Well, it's too concentrated in ownership. I mean, I've gone through the numbers. When you add Satoshi's wallet, you add the other whales, you're talking about a third of it has been owned by not many people. I think like 10,000 is the number I heard. Regardless of what the right answer is, every month the Bitcoin IBIT outstanding shares goes up. It's up again this month, even though the price is down. So I think everyone that's depressed has actually become entitled. I think they think it's a risk asset. Oh, there's another one. This is just a risk asset. Okay, well, it's not going up with the NASDAQ, so that's good. Lower correlation. Well, it's just digital gold. Well, it's not going up with gold. So guess what? In portfolio theory, for everyone who hasn't bought any yet, I think with your stocks, with your gold, with your bonds, now there's every argument to make. It's lower volatility now, lower correlation with the other traditional asset class, diversification from gold. I think this thing is going to move higher. I was wrong about where I thought we'd be at this point. It's still up for the year. I think once this consolidation is done and we're through the IPO process and the fundamentals take over, next year, once we get through clarity and the beginning of tokenization and the stories of Zelle and everything along those lines, I think we're going to have an acceleration.
And that brings us to the big question, why Bitcoin is dipping, or should I say consolidating now? Number one, this is nothing that's not normal. Bitcoin still remains over the 50-week moving average, which is right now at around $103,000, meaning we're not in a bear market yet. The thing that would technically put us into a bear market or technically change the trend, because right now the trend is bullish and the trend is your friend. What would technically change it if we spent a full week, this is the weekly chart, if we spent a full week and started the next week under the 50-week moving average, because even any wicks down are meant to scare the masses, scare the sheep. Dips to it are meant to scare the sheep. Until we get a weekly close under into the next week, the trend, bullish trend, has not been broken. But that brings us to this. Being speculated, the real reason Bitcoin is crashing. Rumors are circulating that Wintermute, and again, this checks out from what we're seeing, BlackRock and Binance clientele are dumping. But why would Wintermute be dumping? Wintermute is a market maker. They have a different business than BlackRock and Binance. Well, this is interesting. Rumors are circulating that Wintermute, one of crypto's largest market makers, is preparing to sue Binance over losses from the October 10th crash and could be the reason for the recent Bitcoin price action. And that October 10th market crash was the one that Tom Lee was talking about. It's the flash crash that last month wiped out $600 billion in crypto value in 30 minutes, triggering 1.7 million forced liquidations and marking the largest single-day liquidation event in crypto history. It was really traders and, by association, market makers that were affected by this, and that all stemmed from Binance. It started on Binance. Wintermute's CEO, I'll play this clip in a second, CEO says the firm was auto-deleveraged, ADL'd, at completely ridiculous prices on Binance and other exchanges, and is now evaluating their legal options. Listen to this video from the Wintermute CEO explaining how Wintermute got ADL'd and how strange it was, and this was on Binance.
Starting with ADL, effectively it's supposed to be a matter of last resort. So like generally, okay, you enter in the pair position, like at some point you run out of margin, you're going to get liquidated. So that's kind of normal. And usually the way exchanges do it, they just liquidate you on their own platform. If they cannot do it, they're supposed to, well, basically the insurance fund is supposed to take a hit. And the ADL was like never invoked for, I don't know, years, I think, like on most of the platforms. Simply because like it was never that drastic, but ADL is supposed to be the matter of like the very, very last resort. And that, I think, is where we will see a lot of, well, basically challenges from a lot of trading firms to a lot of exchanges in the coming days and maybe weeks. Because I can tell you, like for us, for example, some of the ADL fills we got were very strange. So it just didn't make sense for us. Like there were like some perpetual positions where we got ADL, like on Binance and some other platforms, and like, okay, it's fine to get ADL if you can hedge, but also like our challenge was like sometimes you'd get ADL to a completely ridiculous price. It just didn't make any sense. Like the most ridiculous case, I think it was, I don't know, price we got AD out was, let's say $1 and sorry, we got AD out at $5 and the thing was called trading at $1. So, and then you just don't even have a chance to hedge basically anywhere. So you're just stuck with the loss right away.
And basically what this means to you is this is the churn. Tom Lee said it himself, that October was one of the biggest liquidations in the history of crypto. And while presumably the biggest crash is done, there's still a lot of uncertainty or just re-dipping your toe in the water. I hope to Satoshi the Bitcoin price can maintain its technical bull market and stay above this 50-week moving average we've seen in the past. Eventually, when an asset dips below, and a wick doesn't count, it has to close below on the weekly and then ideally retest it and get rejected. That leads to a multi-month, some call it a bear market, I just call it price down, multi-month, if not more. We just need to get past the churn. Anybody trading this churn, I'm going to put a link down below to exchange partner WEEX. Deposit $100 and get $50 back immediately, free $50 for those still active in the market. But with the largest financial market on earth, the United States of America, backing this asset class as a new asset class, it is very clear to me that we're going to be okay a year from now, 18 months from now. It's just the question of the churn into this year's end. As I get more info, the minute I get a new update, I will make a video. I will keep you updated. That's why you subscribe.